I want to be the greatest in the world. Not for the money and the fame and the girls. Not for the car keys or the jet skis, but the vacation to the West Indies.
Tian Jaden Merritt, aka Lil TJay, born April 30th, 2001. Today's feature is an artist I still think has a bright future in music, and it's crazy to think he's still just 23 years old. Since 16, he's been on the scene putting on for New York City with a sound honestly unlike no other from there probably ever. The conversation about New York since the late 2010s has been about them losing their sound in hip-hop and searching for a new identity that everyone wants to sound similar to what they're used to. But that sound remains trapped in an era, while kids of today from the city have accepted the fact that sound has been blurred over state lines through the emergence of social media and the collective community thought it's based on. Nowadays, a young rapper from Colorado can study his favorite artists from a city like Chicago on Instagram, YouTube, and places like TikTok, and can't help but be inspired and influenced regardless of the history of hip-hop sound from his state. Pros and cons come with that, and one of the biggest cons for New York specifically took a backseat in being the trendsetters when it comes to rap. Hip-hop started in New York, so expectations to be the leaders of the new school has been there since day one, and since, nothing has changed. You hear Lil TJay and might confuse where he's from, and maybe that's a good thing in this era. When he first became popular in 2018 with his song Resume, he was championed not just for his obvious talent, but because New York finally had something that sounded like the new wave, but was from the home turf, and he blew up. In 2019 and 2021, he released back-to-back top 5 albums in the country, featuring the biggest songs of his career like FN that went 5 times platinum and Calling My Phone 4 times platinum, and a top 3 song in the country and #1 in hip-hop. Lil TJay was on his way fast up the charts as a viable artist young enough to take over the new generation, and then things started to get cloudy. In 2022, he was shot outside of Chipotle in a shopping center in New Jersey 7 times and was left for dead in a failed robbery attempt. Fortunately, he survived the shooting, but his recovery process knocked him off track from the rise he was having, and since then, some fans feel the momentum he had has slowed down. In music, especially today, an artist's career lifespan can be shortened by any missed time or opportunity and can certainly look like they have fallen off. But Lil TJay still has a lot of potential and hasn't fallen off just yet. But here's why some think so. What happened? Let's talk about it. Salute to Twin on IG for this request. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth Music. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Lil TJay is a rapper, singer, and songwriter from the Bronx, New York that grew up the problematic child, as he describes it, that was always outside on the block, and that turned into an idle mind getting into all the negatives of the environment he was from. Mix that with sometimes not having the basic necessities, he took part in robberies and getting into fights with kids from different blocks, and it led to a detention center that changed his life. There he realized he didn't want to go down the path of that being forever a possible reality, so he needed to find a different way. He began writing raps and songs about the pain and struggle of being young where he's from and his relationship experiences that affected his life at the time. That time gave him a new perspective and motivation to make something of himself. When he was released, he took music more seriously and released frequently on SoundCloud. One song in particular, called Resume, stood out and gave him some traction at just 16 years old. He won the 2018 NYC All Ages edition of Coast to Coast Live competition, with music reps in attendance, and with much anticipation released Brothers soon after, leading to a deal with Columbia Records. Reason number 1, the shooting. It used to be, and probably still is in some cases, being shot was a good thing in hip-hop, with the biggest example ever being fellow New York rapper 50 Cent. 50 was shot 9 times in 2000 and miraculously lived to rap about it, and it was the catalyst to a nearly billion-dollar rap career that spilled over into business and enterprise. It made him legendary in the hip-hop scope forever. But his situation was a lot different than Lil TJay's in that 50 Cent wasn't a household name when he was shot, so after surviving, he could hit the ground running as a gangsta rapper that could use the shooting to feed his street credibility, along with having a story of triumph and rising from the ashes that could pull heartstrings and sell forever. It gave him buzz, or clout in today's terms, as a new artist and fueled the vehicle he needed to get in the game. Lil TJay, on the other hand, was already on and had released 2 top 5 albums in the country by the time he was shot 7 times, and isn't particularly a gangsta rapper, so didn't need that story to get where he was already fast approaching. All the shooting did in reality was take time away from his career during an important rise he was having into stardom. Yes, it built anticipation, but one that couldn't immediately be capitalized on due to him still having to recover from his injuries physically and mentally be in a state he was even motivated to make music. He released his first song after the shooting beat the odds, and the reception wasn't quite reflective of all the talk surrounding his name just after the shooting. It peaked at 36 on the Billboard charts, and thereafter, none of his songs have been able to do the same. His first album since the shooting sold 22,000 copies first week, lower than both his releases prior. The shooting was a huge deterrent, even though most importantly, he survived. Reason number 2, 222 not performing. After the shooting, another thing that slowed the pace of Lil TJay was his first album after the incident not performing well in sales, with 22,000 first week sales and little traction thereafter, and it not being as good as fans hoped it would be. Of course, every artist has their direct fans that aren't capable of being objective about their favorite artist, who thinks everything they put out is supposed to be a classic. But that wasn't the case for TJay. First of all, I don't think Columbia as a label did enough to put him in a better light as far as promotion like they could have, and neither did he do himself any justice with the remix of 50 Cent's Many Men being the second song released after. I remember when he released that song and everyone still wanted to hear from TJay, but not in this way. First off, he was rapping over the beat, which is not his strong suit. Then the flow and the rhymes weren't impactful, and some were confused as to why he would even go in that direction after his lane brought him so much success. It may just be one song, but the timing of the Face Shot song wasn't the best, and a lot of the On the Fence fans got off right there. So he was left with his core base, who too grew frustrated that he was using the same flow most of, if not the entire album, and it just became repetitive. All of that came together to cause 222 to flop by Lil TJay's standards, and even he could feel the shift. Being shot 7 times didn't seem to build enough buzz for the album 222 to survive more than a year before it was finally released. Another ball drop on Columbia's part, but how much can you blame them when their artist is still recovering and finding his confidence again? Lil TJay also became much more slowed and reserved on stage performing the album, all results of a shooting he may still be recovering from. Either way, 222 didn't live up to the hype and impact, not necessarily quality, and it held him back from the path he was expected to get on. Reason number 3, in need of something. In research through the internet of what the people are saying directly, many feel Lil TJay has fallen off because he's either not releasing enough music since the shooting, or the music he has put out just isn't the hit he needs to gaslight this post-shooting half of his career. He's released 10 songs officially from June 2022 to now as a lead artist, and only one of them has charted, the first release after the shooting. It was the first time fans got to hear from Lil TJay, and honestly, it deserved more recognition. But again, promotion falls on the label, just like work ethic falls on the artist. Whether still recovering or secretly never going to be the same, something is different in him producing enough music to satisfy his fans, or the right kind of music, or song that can stir up a new wave. Me personally, I think Lil TJay is just not the same person as he was before. Not only does he have to find himself again mentally, where he's not doing the same things he did before that gave him natural inspiration, but also almost got him killed. The energy at his shows are different, his tone is different, and I think the label's investment in him is as well. Lil TJay needs a hit though, but with everything mentioned, who knows when or if that'll ever come. All in all, Lil TJay is still a talented artist that had a serious wave for New York, unique to him, and he's been through a lot, but still has the touch that made him successful in the first place. Once he finds it, and once the label prioritizes him, it'll be wheels up once again, but for these reasons, right now, fans feel like he's fallen off. Even though I disagree. Salute, much respect. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth Music, and I'm out.